Hi, everybody. It's Dean Wolfe. This is the very first podcast, Dean Wolfe podcast. I don't know. Maybe we'll come up with a name for it or something. And the idea is to talk with other folks, about progressive rock or whatever. I don't know. I'm just going to let this sort of evolve. But and today's my first guest is Jen from. If you are familiar with the channel, you've probably commented along with Jen below some of my videos, and Jen's been a longtime supporter. She's a Patreon supporter, and she's got incredibly insightful comments. I've really enjoyed all of her comments on the music, and that's really what I wanted for the channel. It wasn't just me reacting, it's other people watching and also reacting below and starting conversations. So it's a community. So Jen is one of the originals. Jen, welcome to the podcast.
OG Wolf Pack.
So I'm here in Victoria in BC on Vancouver Island. And Jen, you were in, where are you?
I'm in Springfield, Illinois.
Okay. So is that a suburb of Chicago?
No, no, it's right smack in the middle of Illinois, about 3.5 hours south of Chicago on a good day.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I grew up in Ontario, Toronto area, St. Catharines, Toronto, and London, Ontario, those three different areas. So Illinois was really not that far away. I don't think I traveled very much to Illinois, but
not much to see.
Not much to see?
Not really, not down here.
Okay. So there's a lot of farmland, or?
Yes, corn and soybeans and more corn.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, do you like the farmer setting, or are you a big city person, or what do you think?
Well, I'm a bit of both. I have a foot in both worlds because I was born here in Springfield and I grew up here in Springfield. But then after I graduated from university, I moved to China, and I lived in China for about 12 years. And there's no such thing as a small city in China. The population is, huge. And the city that I spent most of my time in was Kunming, and they have, God, I think 7 million. So yeah, I loved that. But I also like the calm and no drama of living in a smaller US city.
Right. But isn't there, is it so small that there's like, I don't know, gossip mill kind of going?
Depends on if you're in high school or not.
Oh, okay.
we only have a few high schools in town, and everybody pretty much knows other kids from other high schools. But let's see, the population of Springfield right now, I believe, is around 120,000. So not really that big at all.
Yeah. So I'm curious, when you're in China, well, first of all, how long have you been into progressive music? How old were you when you started to get into it?
13.
Okay.
Maybe. I had a period in 7th and 8th grade where I was exploring, because I didn't like pop mainstream stuff really anymore. 80s hair bands got kind of old. Without dating myself, I'll just say, Winger, Warrant, Skid Row, Cinderella, got, a little bit repetitive, and I was looking for something a little bit off the beaten track. And so I started listening to alternative music. And, there was a huge explosion of alternative music due to MTV, really, back when MTV actually played videos constantly. No shows.
I remember that.
And I got into The Cure a lot. And that just opened a bunch of different doors, like to what was like the scene in the UK, stuff coming out of them there. And yeah, I was into Jane's Addiction. And then in high school came a new kind of new wave of like 90s-ish, like Alice in Chains, Rage Against the Machine, Nine Inch Nails, and then of course Tool.
Tool. I know you're gonna say Tool.
Yeah, I'm a huge Tool fan.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help myself. I was dating a drummer at the time, pretty damn good drummer actually. I did a little stalking the other day to find out what he's up to lately. Went to grade school with this kid, and then like I said, the high schools, there's only like 3 major ones in Springfield, and even though he went to a different one, we still totally kept in touch. We had a really tight group of metalheads when I was like freshman, sophomore in high school, and they also were into Tool, Alice in Chains. And then this guy that I dated, the drummer, really, he just dove right in with the hardest stuff he could find. I mean, Neil Peart, he was totally into Rush, Led Zeppelin, and of course, Danny Carey, Tool. He listened to that stuff. He was on his set 24 hours a day. And I would just go over after school and just sit in his basement and watch the dude play drums. And that was like my formative, that still informs what I listen to and what I respond to, the music that I like today. And I did a little stalking and found out that he's in 3 different bands right now. In one in Bloomington, another one here in Springfield, and I think they do shows in Chicago with another band. They've got an album out, and I was surprised. I was really surprised.
Oh, cool.
So good for him. I'm
Yeah.
glad that he stuck with the drumming because he was really amazing. And it's rare to find a kid. You know, we were kids, 13, 14 years old, and he was spectacular. So I'm really glad that I had that influence. I still remember I bought the box set of Led Zeppelin remasters off of him for like $70 because it was brand mint. And I still have it.
Yeah.
Still have it. I still listen to it. Cool. I love it.
That's vinyl?
No, CDs.
Oh, CDs. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, so when you were in China, how could you wait? Were there clubs you can go to and see local bands, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How is the music scene down in China then?
Really different than what we have here. The process is the tastes, what people responded to, what people bought tickets for, wanted to see. A lot of the scene where I was driven by foreigners. And when I say foreigners, I mean Europeans, North and South Americans, Africans, not Chinese, not native Chinese. I still think of myself as a foreigner. It's that I spent a third of my life in China, so it's still kind of ingrained. But yeah, we had there was a group of Italian guys that had a punk band, and I went to see them tons. There was this underground, like literally underground. You had to go down steps to get to it. Place by the university there called the Speakeasy. And we would go there for all the touring bands would go there, and it was a rock scene, some punk, some electronic, and some hip hop, but most of it was rock and metal. But these Italian guys, so I mean, if you're interested, they were going by the name of Spermatozoos.
Okay.
They were total partiers. They were like teaching English on the side and just going out and partying and making music and trashing guitars. But now they're actually still together. They're back in Italy, and their new band is called Smegma Riot.
Oh, that's an odd name, but it's cool. I like that.
You can find Smegma Riot on YouTube.
Riot. It's very memorable too.
If you want to look it up, Smegma Riot on YouTube.
Yeah, don't forget that one.
Anyway, that was just one of the interesting acts. But the Chinese kids, the university kids, weren't quite into that yet. It was more of a foreign thing. It was a spectacle, something for them to go and like, oh, look at what the foreigners do. They're so weird. But nowadays, especially in Taiwan, although I've never been to Taiwan, because they're more aligned, especially with Japan, but also the West. They have a greater influence of actual like prog rock, prog metal. And I don't know, did you do, was it Elephant? What am I thinking of?
Oh, Elephant. That sounds familiar.
It's like Elephant Toe or something. What am I thinking of? There was something that either you did a song of or we were talking about, and I thought that they were from Taiwan. It could have been Japan, but Japan kind of bled down into Taiwan. They actually have a lot of cultural similarities because of their nearness and trade, and the music and culture kind of gets mixed in. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming out of Taiwan, and I really like. I like other kinds of music other than prog rock and prog metal. I like world sounds, stuff with a good drum beat, a lot of folk. I guess that would be ethnic folk.
Elephant Jim, I bet you that was
Elephant Jim. Thank you. Oh my God, that's it.
Right. So they're from Taiwan. Okay.
Yeah. Why was I saying Elephant Toe? I think there is also a band called just Toe, just TOE, Toe.
Yeah.
But I like there's a Taiwanese reggae star called Matsuka, Matzka, that is just totally cool, like island vibe. I mean, Taiwan is an island, but it's more of like a Caribbean, like a reggae vibe. I'm into so many different weird stuff.
So would you say like I can tolerate commercial radio if I'm in the car and the kids wanted to hear some of it, but I don't know, maybe you feel the same way, but I've always sought out unusual music and unique music. And
definitely
like culturally different. I mean, jazz is big for me too. I love sort of fusion jazz, not the traditional jazz as much, although it's okay, but I just find I love all the alternative stuff, and prog rock sort of checks all the boxes for the most part for me.
It's like a Venn diagram kind of. It's like you get like the interesting instrumental type, even lighter sounds like flute and stuff, and then you get the folky, you get the acoustic, and then you get the genty, crunchy metal stuff, and then all in the middle in their section is progressive rock and metal. And it's a perfect fit for me too.
And it's interesting because I was born in the very late 60s, and I was into music from birth, basically. I was super into the Beatles. Like, this is preschool. I had my parents had a nice record collection, and I listened to everything. I loved the classical, the country, Glenn Campbell, Mozart, Ein kleiner Nacht music. And then there's the Beatles and soundtracks for James Bond, the Goldfinger, and I forgot where I was going with this thought now. What was I talking about?
Music in utero. That's what I had.
Yeah.
Had Stevie Wonder and Mozart and probably a little bit of Glenn Campbell as well. My mom actually was one of the moms that would put the speakers over her belly and let me listen to stuff.
Right. So I was
when I was a wee one.
I feel very privileged to have to have experienced music as, as the new, like I remember when some pivotal albums came out, like Pink Floyd albums and stuff. So I experienced it, whereas younger kids today who are getting into this music, it's all just in the past. It's just collectively in the past. It's a big grab bag of all kinds of things that happened in the past. But to have lived through it, I feel really privileged. But at the same time, has been some discouragement. I mean, for me, the 1970s was an amazing decade of music. And I remember literally in January of 1980, and I was flipping through the radio, FM radio, listened to all the time. And I just felt like it's come to a dead end. The 70s literally, and as far as time, it came to an end. It was over. And I just was feeling like this wasteland in front of me. I was like, where's something new kind of come out of, like, what's going to happen in the 80s? And then because at that time, all there was like Bruce Springsteen and his guys playing their big saxophones and stuff. And I thought, no, I'm not into that. But then all of a sudden the new wave happened. Yes. And the Police kind of were part of that. There was lots of UK bands that were Flock of Seagulls, and there's a whole new vibe going on, and there's a new movement of music. And then the punk, of course, had happened in the late 70s, but that was also sprouting new forms of music. And then so the 80s was pretty cool overall. Then the 90s happened. Grunge was exciting. That was cool. But then after that, it seemed to everything just dropped off a cliff. It's like since the turn of the century, in 2000s, other than progressive music, which now I've discovered has been going on below the surface, it just seems like that's the only area where anything exciting is happening. For me, I can't see too much going on in music. Certainly the mainstream music is stagnant, it's like a dead sea. It's just
I think it has to do with what happened, like you said, around the turn of the century. The internet did it. I mean, right. Napster is what kind of started it. MTV quit being really a music channel and started with the reality TV, and people started downloading their music. And its consumption of music just splintered into a million different ways that you could find your music. And I think that hurt alternative rock as far as exposure. I remember, I mean, everybody in college knew who Rage Against the Machine was. They're still a huge name, but where do you go to get your music? Rage Against the Machine was like one of the last like underground bands that weren't underground. Like it was mainstream consumpmption. But then after it fragmented. Some people were like me. I use YouTube a lot to just search, just find new stuff. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people are into the live music scene. Some people go local. Some people use Spotify. I mean, there's a million different Pandora. And then now you get your music suggested to you based on what types that you already like. And, giving thumbs up to things takes you down a rabbit hole sometimes. So, yeah, there's a lot of bands that people like that no one's ever heard of, simply because they didn't do the same thumbs up in the same order of songs to get them to go in that direction. So I think that might be why we feel that, especially rock, dropped off, because it snaked into all these different mediums of ways to get it. Tunnels, I guess.
So I think technology plays into it to some degree too, because part of the 80s, the production, for example, there was a lot of new equipment coming out, a lot of new keyboards. So these were like new tools for musicians to use to get more creative. Music moved from tape to digital format, so it sort of opened up lots of possibilities. And I think the 80s was sort of the high point where people were being really creative, and it was kind of funny. Some of the music kind of sounds funny now too, like the production where the snare drum is like just massive, like, you know, like it's just like 50-60% of the sound of a song is just the snare being, but that's because the technology, and they could do that. So then in the 90s, it felt like it was a rebellion almost, going back to just grunge, like forget all the digital stuff, just play your rock and roll guitars and rock
in your garage band.
Yeah, and Tool sounds to me like that kind of reaction against too much of the 80s turning into, well, I guess it became a pop sound. It went from alternative and edgy and new, and then it kind of turned into some sort of overly familiar pop sound, overly crafted or whatever. So the 90s was like, just tear it all down. Like literally the guys in bands wore t-shirts. That was sort of radical at the time. This wore jeans and t-shirts.
That was my uniform.
Yeah. And they usually wore t-shirts from other bands, right? So there's
exactly.
But then and then like you said, the internet really exploded, and it became practical that everyone had a computer, so they could download it. So there's this huge splintering going on. And I would say part of the problem with that was one of the reasons why I didn't even realize there was so much progressive rock going on, because it wasn't jumping out and saying, hey, progressive rock's actually quite alive right now. I didn't know that. I wasn't paying attention. I was raising kids too, so I was pretty busy when they were young. You just don't have a lot of time to be exploring new bands or whatever.
No, you've fallen down the rabbit hole now, my friend.
Oh yeah. And I've been doing the reacts for 2 years now. I just realized it's been about almost exactly 2 years since I started reacting, and it was
March of 2020 is when I first found you.
Wow. So you've been there the whole time. That's cool.
Pretty much.
Thank you.
You're welcome, of course.
So, and this whole reaction thing is, I watched that video, that link you sent me. I'm going to include that below this video. Once I post this, I'll put the link to that video where this reaction dude had talked to like 20 different labels, 20 different bands, 20 different music publishers to find out what did they think of reaction channels. Was it a good thing, bad thing? And unanimously, they all thought it was great, except for the publishers, the money guys. They didn't really react to at all. It seems they want to remain neutral at this point. But the bands and the labels all think reactions channels are great. So, and I didn't intend to get into this. It just kind of spontaneously happened. And I think it's a really good thing. It's a reaction channels. It made me think, maybe there's something more to this than just me turning on my computer and uploading videos. Maybe this is something that's going to continue to evolve and create a next wave of music journalism, music whatever.
I don't know if you can see that if it's backwards, but that video that I sent you came from TanktheTech.
TanktheTech, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's not backwards. I could see it.
If you guys want to check him out, he's like a roadie, a guitar and drum tech. I'm not quite sure where the tech comes from, but he does mostly like black metal, death metal, thrash, stuff like that. But that video, I'm really glad that you liked it. It was such a revelation for me. It's reactions. Some people don't like them, but it's really become a new form. It's the new MTV.
Yeah. Yes. There you go. And it's funny you mentioned, because yesterday I had a guy reacting. He was leaving a comment. He was saying, "Oh, you guys, you think you're specialists and you're special and you can react, and everyone, you're just looking for clicks or whatever." And thumbs down to you. And I responded to him. We had a little bit of banter back and forth, but I find that really hilarious, because I suppose there probably are reactors out there who are just looking at the next big thing, constantly trying to get clicks.
There are.
Obviously, not everyone's like that. Like there's lots of great channels, and
Tons.
if you're sincere about it, anyways, you can't. I can't fake this. I've been doing 2 years. Like you can't continuously upload and all the work that's involved and do that just for clicks. I just follow the advice of a lot of my reactors or reaction watchers, viewers, and that leads me down the rabbit hole, and it's turning into a community. And I think it's, yeah, this is a bit of a light bulb moment for me to realize there's more to this than I realized. So this is cool. This is great.
Yeah, there definitely is. And I love seeing on your React videos that you've done where the band or someone from the band has commented and said, thank you for listening. And looked at all of our comments underneath your video and replied to some of us. And it's word of mouth, but it's on a platform. I mean, YouTube has its pros and cons, like you've said before, but the good that it's doing, allowing us to connect like this and share, that is one of the biggest things that for me, reaction videos are. Is something so special when you find a band or a song or just, any sound, any new sound that you love and you're so psyched about, but like nobody else knows about it. And the joy that you get sharing it. It used to be, hey man, I'll burn you a CD or I'll send you this whatever and tell me what you think. I'll make you a mixtape. Now it's just seeing the joy on reactors' faces and hearing comments from other people who are introduced to this new sound you found. So that's just, there's something so satisfying about spreading good vibes, good musical vibes.
Yes. Well put, Jen. Well put.
Thanks.
So let me see now. I just got a glance at the time, how long we've been going, because of course this is my first time doing the podcast, and I'm just thinking so far. I mean, I can almost think or imagine myself going and inviting some other Patreon members who are very outspoken a lot. They have a lot to say, and maybe do an episode with them, and then or maybe do a series and maybe have regulars, have a theme where we discuss a certain thing. Certainly it would be great to do this live. I have to figure out how to do this live feed because this is our first podcast and I haven't figured out how to coordinate what I'm doing with Zoom and then live stream it at the same time. Hopefully we can do that.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that would be really cool, because then if we're talking right now, we'd be able to watch the scroll ups and we'll see people who are asking questions about whatever the topic is. So just sort of go with the flow of the conversation, see what's on people's minds. That could be really cool. Yeah. Oh, there's so many possibilities.
Tons.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Jen.
Absolutely.
I guess we'll just wrap this up for now, because I have to figure out how to do all the editing and whatnot, make sure it's working. But I'm hopeful it's all great. So thanks again, Jen, and we'll have you back on for sure. But you were part of the podcast number 1. I'm just going to be calling them number 1, number 2, and just see what evolves. If I had suggested to you, remember I sent you an email. I said maybe we can talk about what a theme. So maybe it could be like, what is the purpose of music?
I have notes. I wrote an answer.
Good. So why don't we just cover that as our conclusion then? We'll just. What do you think the purpose of music is in general?
Well, first of all, there are different kinds of functional music. For example, like religious music, worship, liturgical hymns, things like that. There's kind of a secular ritualistic or ceremonial music too, like popular wedding songs, first dance at prom, the standards, a lot of Ed Sheeran at weddings. There are rites of passage songs like Summer of '69 or Beastie Boys, You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party. Traditional holiday music, Christmas songs, stuff like that. There's patriotic songs, national anthems, but also things like Bruce Springsteen, like you mentioned before, sports, or like rallying cry sports songs. Do you know Gary Glitter?
Oh, I've heard of him. Yes, I know the name.
Da 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 da. Everybody knows that, but they don't know who Gary Glitter is. Look Gary Glitter up.
Okay.
His life is hilarious.
Okay.
At one point, he fled to France, I think, and changed his name. Just Google Gary Glitter. Then there's also art, songs for art, performance, concerts, movie soundtracks even would fall under that. And then there's protest songs. Again, something that you were asking us about, like what kind of music gets you, riled up, ready to go, protest. And Rage Against the Machine was a big protest song, but also, Pink Floyd, The Wall, Vietnam era, Fortunate Son. And I think those categories of functional, but, also what I just mentioned serve a function of bringing us together. It uplifts us. It sets a mood. It serves a mindful function in society. And then, of course, there's a whole other category of love songs.
Oh, right.
Love songs as opposed to like romance love songs. I'm not talking about WAP here. And those, of course, are for romance. Some of them soothe heartache after a breakup, or, there's always a couple will say, we have our song, there's our song. So it sets idyllic standards for love. And there's a bit of poetry involved in that. But then there's another category, and I like to call it bread and circus music. Mainstream pop, at least what it has become now. And there's a stark contrast between a love song and a sex song. And I think a lot of what unfortunately is on the radio now and, gets the attention of most of the nation is that baser kind of music. And I don't think it really serves a particular function, at least a higher function, because, there's part of like protest songs that border on aggressive, rebellion, destructive. And like I hate to single it out, but there are some rap songs that are pretty violent in nature. And then there's also stuff that it kind of enforces tribalism in a way, like really, if you like that kind of music, you must be a certain kind of person types. And I don't know. I think those types of music that I've mentioned, it distracts us. I guess in that sense, it serves a purpose if we need to be distracted. But I think that's one of the problems wrong. Like one of the things wrong right now is we're all a little bit too distracted by this stuff. It's there to titillate. And a lot of it reaffirms our biases. So I don't think that necessarily is the best. That's why I call it bread and circus music. Yeah. The role music plays for the artists, on the other hand, at least the serious ones, it can be a creative outlet, a way to send a message or make a statement. but it's also a craft, a profession, a way to make a living. And then there's just, even for those of us who aren't musically inclined, the ones who belt out songs in the car and scream and sing in the shower, there's just this primal need to make beautiful noise. And I think that's within all of us. And that's why we love music. That's why it's so important. And then there's prog. It's all about exploration, pushing boundaries, virtuosity, you know, blending, a lot of blending, molding, forging, introducing. It's new. It's always new, pushing it. Prog is like the Star Trek of music. Boldly go where no man has gone before. And I think the fans reflect that.
Yes.
Wolfpack, proudly go, boldly go where no man has gone before.
Yeah.
What was it you used to say? Commit an act of, what was it? What, listening?
Oh, commit an act of listening. I think that's
wanton listening.
I'll have to double check that. That was a while ago. I was reacting to
Swans.
That
was either your first or your second in the car.
Yeah. And that was quite a revelationary moment for me too. Just the music really, it's hard to explain. It was an emotional, spiritual, intellectual, just kind of a revelation. I don't know why it was so stunning to me, but for some reason I just connected with this music and it just opened my mind some more. I guess that's what you want to do, open more doors in your thought. Because
pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, pushing the boundaries. So
it was one of the best reacts you've ever done. You actually got pissed for a second and I started talking about the recording industry.
I should link that below. Okay, I'll link that below. Everyone who's watching, I'll link that video.
Yeah, you guys got to check that one out.
Yes. Well, you know, I think more people should start React channels. I'm not trying to. Sure. I don't think it's a matter of competition. Like I've looked around at some React channels, and the only one that's stuck with me, probably because he loves the same kind of music I do, is just progressive mostly, is Just JP. There's some other guy. There's a composer guy. He calls himself the Old Composer. Yeah. I don't know. It didn't really turn my crank, and I think that's fine. You know, I think everyone's going to have sort of find their kind of soulmates more, that you like more this kind of person or that. Yeah. So I think I have a feeling that React channels will actually continue to grow, because I've been doing this 2 years, and I took a little break over Christmas. I really had a need to just cut down my video content and just to regroup myself. And it worked. It's like I'm like a brand new little baby in the world. It's like I just starting, and I'm totally inspired about the React channel and what it all means to me. And I think more people should start it. You should start one, Jen, if you're interested.
I don't think I know enough about, you know, the technical side. I sang, I guess.
Well, maybe I'll make a video. I'll do that. I'll make a behind the scenes video just explaining everything how I do it. So then people like you, if you're ever inclined to do it, you'd know what equipment you need. And that's a good idea. I'll do a video so others can do it. But I think, you know, it's quite a niche, you know, progressive rock. It's the people who are into that music are very loyal. But at the same time, I do love the post rock, the post metal, just metal in general. Because to me, metal again has pushed the boundaries a lot more even than just straight ahead rock. You know, I don't know that there's been a lot of rock bands that are really pushing the boundaries, but there are, like, for example, The Warning from Mexico, a trio of Mexican girls who are young, and yet they totally get the ethos or whatever of rock. They seem to totally get it, and they're very young too, so they're just starting out. So I have a lot of hope that actually rock can get reborn, a new generation of rock. Certainly metal,
and in other countries.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. So anything else you want to add, Jen?
Oh, I'm looking over the stuff that I
Yes.
had a couple questions that I wanted to ask you, but I
Okay.
didn't write them down.
Okay.
Um, I, I guess I'll just have to save that for next time. If anybody has any questions you want me to ask Dean.
Why don't you ask one? Do you have one? Just
um, yeah, actually. I sent you the Haken album.
oh yes.
And I was wondering because you did I requested the Messiah complex like suite that
Yeah.
chunk out of
Yeah.
the record, which is like what tracks 6, 7, 8, 9 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of was curious what you thought of the rest of it. um I I don't have the track listing in front of me.
Yeah.
I'm really
Well,
bad at
I'll show you. Hold on a second here. It was, of course, a vinyl record, which is it was on the wall there for a while, and it also came with a CD. So I wanted to actually to put on the CD. I've listened to the entire album through once, so it's too early for me to pass an opinion. And actually, in the last week, I was just thinking I should listen to that one again. What happened for me is this has been like a waterfall of music, like literally hundreds, like
Yeah.
over 200 at least of new bands that I've reacted to, and I like them all. But it's sort of like the problem is it's like, you know, it's like going to dinner. You can only eat so much a day. You know, there's only so much you can digest mentally per day.
Yeah.
So so I remember I bought a bunch of albums. Some of them I haven't even listened to more than once. So, you know, it's a busy life. That's the one thing about being a reactor. The only downside is it's sort of busy and it keeps pushing you forward and you're constantly reacting to new music. So it's hard to find time to just focus on one thing. And I kind of had the opportunity just this past weekend to review Topographic Oceans by Yes, which is a double album, 4 long songs, 20 minutes each. And so I spent all night listening to that again and taking notes and then making the video. And but I'd like to review. Actually, this would be a good one to review. Maybe I'll do the whole album. I'm going to listen to it a few times.
Yeah.
And make a review. So
Yeah.
It's different than reacting to one song where you're in front of the camera. It's more
Right.
like I've reacted to one, at least one of this CD, and then I'll just on my own time just absorb it and then do a review. That'd be fun.
It's one of the best albums ever made, in my opinion.
Good.
Then
Well,
I know Renee is probably on board with me there.
oh yeah. Well, that's a great endorsement.
Really, I mean, it's still in my car ever since the day I bought it. I've got a 6-disc changer, and let's see what's in there right now. Well, Tool is back on tour, so Fear Inoculum is back in there. That Haken album. What else have I got? Oh, the new Soen album. Imperial.
I'm going to react to some of that. I think your react is coming up probably.
Yeah.
I'll be doing that tonight or tomorrow morning. Some more Soen.
Oh, it's a banger.
Yeah.
And then what else have I got in there? I've got a Richelieu CD in there. Oh, Richelieu. Oh, they are my love. They need to make another album. Richelieu, guys, if you ever see this, come back together and do it. So excited if that would have happened. Oh man.
I'm sure it will. They can't just leave that behind. There's so much promise in what they're
just
making.
Amazing talent and cohesiveness. What else? Wheel. I've got the new Wheel. That actually, as far as a full album react goes, if you would really just love to ring my bell, do Moving Backwards, the full album from Wheel. That would be a great full album react. That's another stellar stellar album.
Yeah. Okay. I think they need more promo too. To me, it seems like they should be bigger than they are.
They're pretty new. They had two EPs, and then Moving Backwards was their first full-length album, and then this new one, I can't remember the freaking name of it, and I had you do Hyperion off of it just last month or the month before.
Yeah. Amazing.
I can't Google things right now. My memory is shot. Resident Human.
That sounds familiar.
I think it's Resident Human. But yeah, I would love to see a full album react to Moving Backwards by Wheel.
Okay.
That I would say in the past like 3 years, that's another just flawless. There's not a bad track. There's not a bad moment of a track. Like there's not a single thing wrong with it. It's really quite amazing.
I think that's amazing that that format to me is so important. Like an album, like of course in the 50s everything was singles, and they called an album because they put like a bunch of singles in this album they open up. Mm-hmm. So then when they had the long playing records, it sparked off this, especially the Beatles are a great example of that, where they were totally involved in creating like Sgt. Pepper's, for example, or the White Album. This is sort of the whole album is so important. It's not just one song. Right. And I just love that format. And that's one of the negatives, I guess, of downloads and or streaming, where it just turns music into singles again. It's short little blips of where I love to see a band, the big picture, like they worked on it for like, for example, Topographic Oceans, they worked on it for 5 months straight, writing 4 20-minute songs, and they put all their soul and life into it, and it's an amazing document of creativity. So I like
that word. That's what it is. An album is a document. It may be an audio, but it is a document. Good. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Great way to say that.
So Jen, this has been really great. I want to have you back again. Maybe we'll even do like a regular series, or something. But this is great. I really appreciate this. And
absolutely, my friend.
So I usually say spiraling out. We'll say spiraling out, all of us.
Absolutely.
And, make sure you all consider joining the Wolf Pack. Just participate in the channel. That's all you have to do. Just comment below when you watch videos. React along with me, and make suggestions like Jen made, things I should review and albums I should listen to, and just keep this community growing. And it's all good.
Going.
It's all good. Okay. See you later. Bye, everybody. Bye, Jen.
Bye.